Marina was in her house bathroom looking in the mirror when she asked a question that froze her blood. Who is this woman looking back at me? It wasn't a dramatic existential crisis, it was something much scarier. She simply didn't recognize herself. At 47 years old, mother of two teenage children, married for 20 years, Marina had become an expert at being everything to everyone, except herself. You know that feeling of waking up and feeling like you're living someone else's life, like you're just a supporting character in your own story? Marina knew that feeling well, and maybe you do too. What happened to Marina over the next 8 months was one of the most profound transformations I have ever seen. She not only rediscovered who she was beneath all the roles she played, she uncovered a version of herself she didn't even know existed. And the most amazing thing, she did it without abandoning her family, without making drastic changes, without blowing everything around her up. Marina proved that it's possible to rediscover oneself without destroying what we've already built. Today, I will share with you the exact steps Marina took on this journey of self reconnection. Because if she could do it, you can too. The story I am about to tell could completely change the way you see your own life. Marina had what many women would consider a perfect life: a beautiful house in the suburbs, a successful husband, two healthy children, Pedro, 16, and Julia, 14. She had left her career as an architect when Pedro was born and had dedicated herself entirely to her family ever since. For 16 years, Marina was the mother who took everyone everywhere, the wife who organized her husband's social life, the housekeeper who kept everything running smoothly. She was what Robert Cialdini, in Influence the Psychology of Persuasion, would call the person who always says yes, but not out of external manipulation, rather due to deep internal conditioning. Marina's awakening did not come from a grand event. It happened on a regular Thursday morning. She was preparing breakfast as she had for years when Julia casually commented, "Mom, you never talk about yourself, only about us, about Dad, about the house. Don't you have your own dreams?" The question fell like a silent bomb. Marina stood there, holding her coffee cup, realizing she couldn't answer. She no longer knew what her own dreams were. That night, Marina did something she hadn't done in years. She took out a notebook and tried to write about herself, but the page remained blank. She could write pages about her children, her husband, the family plans, but about herself, silence. It was then that Marina realized something that David Brooks masterfully describes in The Social Animal. We are fundamentally social beings, shaped by our connections, but sometimes we mold ourselves so much to others' expectations that we lose our own form. Marina had become a perfect reflection of her family's needs, but she had forgotten who she was behind that reflection. The first days after this discovery were distressing. Marina felt selfish for even thinking about herself. After all, her family needed her, depended on her. How could she abandon all of this to find herself? This is where Stephen Pressfield's concept of the resistance comes in, that inner voice that whispers, "You've outgrown the age of dreams. Your children need you. Don't be selfish. You should be grateful for what you have." Marina was facing one of the deepest dilemmas of modern motherhood: how to be a good mother without losing herself as a complete person. But Marina made a decision that would change everything. Instead of suppressing these questions, she chose to explore them, not destructively but constructively. As Viktor Frankl said in Man's Search for Meaning, those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. Marina decided that her why couldn't be just to be helpful to others. She needed to include being true to herself. And you? Have you ever wondered when was the last time you talked about your own dreams? When was the last time you thought of yourself not as a mother, wife, professional, or daughter, but simply as you? Marina decided to start her journey of self discovery systematically. Inspired by Buddhist teachings on mindfulness, she began practicing something she called self archaeology. excavating layer by layer until she found who she truly was beneath all the roles. Marina created three different notebooks: past notebook, who was I before I became a wife and mother? Present notebook, what do I feel, think, and desire now at this moment? Future notebook, who could I become? In the past notebook, Marina rediscovered aspects of herself she had completely forgotten. She loved drawing and had won several art contests in her teenage years. She had a natural talent for connecting different people. She dreamed of traveling the world, photographing vernacular architecture. She was passionate about gardening and even considered studying botany. How did I forget all this? Marina wondered, tears streaming down her face. Marina was experiencing what psychologists call de identification, the process of separating who we are from the roles we play. She began to understand the difference between Marina Mai, the role she played, and Marina Pessoa, who she really was. When Marina started dedicating an hour a day to herself, drawing, gardening, or simply thinking, the family reacted with surprise and sometimes irritation. "Why have you been so strange lately?" asked her husband, Carlos. "Are you having a midlife crisis?" joked Pedro. Marina realized she was facing what David Brooks calls peer pressure. When we change, the system around us pressures us to return to normal. It was while exploring her notebooks that Marina had her first major revelation. Her ikigai was not just being a mother, but being a bridge between people and their possibilities. She perceived this in the way she naturally helped other parents at school, how she connected neighbors with similar interests, how she always knew exactly what advice to give when someone was lost. Marina didn't need to abandon motherhood to find herself. She needed to expand her identity to include other dimensions of who she was. I want to propose the same exercise that transformed Marina's life. Take three notebooks or files on your phone. Past, write about who you were before your current main roles. What dreams did you have? What made your eyes light up? Present. For 1 week, write down everything you feel and think that is genuinely yours, not influenced by what others expect. Future, if you could reinvent yourself while keeping what you love in your current life, what would it be? Do this for 15 minutes a day for a week. It can revolutionize your self perception. Marina's second major challenge was learning something she had never practiced: saying no with love. Marina realized that since childhood she had developed what psychologists call the good girl pattern, always anticipating others' needs, always putting her own needs last. As Robert Cialdini explains in Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion, Marina had become a victim of the principle of distorted reciprocity. She always gave without ever asking for anything in return, creating a chronic emotional imbalance. Marina decided to try something revolutionary, saying no to something small. When the neighbor asked her to organize the street party, as she always did, Marina took a deep breath and said, "I won't be able to this year, but I can help you find someone else." The world didn't fall apart, the party happened, and Marina gained an entire weekend for herself. Marina began to understand that boundaries were not walls to keep people away, but bridges to healthier relationships. When she stopped doing everything for everyone, something magical happened. The children started taking more responsibility for their own things. Her husband began to appreciate more when she was truly willing to help. She had the emotional energy to be present truly when she chose to help. Marina developed what she called sustainable generosity, giving from abundance, not scarcity. As the Buddhist philosophy teaches, you cannot give water if your well is dry. Marina needed to first fill her own emotional well. Initially, the family resisted. They were used to Marina always being available, always saying yes. "You've changed," said Carlos with a tone of criticism. "Yes," replied Marina, "and this is the first time in 20 years that I've changed for the better, not just adapted to others." As Marina began setting loving boundaries, something surprising happened. Her relationships improved. The children started to be proud of the mother who had her own life. Carlos rediscovered the woman he had fallen in love with years ago, someone with her own opinions, dreams, and personality. Marina was proving that the book The Social Animal was right. We are shaped by our connections, but the best connections happen between people who are genuinely themselves. Gradually, Marina began to feel the desire to return to work, not out of financial necessity, but out of a need for personal purpose. Who would want to hire an architect who has been out of the market for 16 years? Marina wondered. She was facing what many women face, imposter syndrome multiplied by the time gap. Marina found comfort in the teachings of Epictetus. It's not the facts themselves that disturb us, but the opinion we have about those facts. The fact was, she had spent 16 years focused on family. The limiting opinion was, this made me less capable. The new opinion was, this gave me unique skills. Marina began to map out all the skills she had developed as a mother and household manager, project management, coordinating the lives of four people simultaneously, conflict resolution, mediating fights between siblings, budget management, running a house efficiently, leadership, motivating teenagers to fulfill their responsibilities, communication, adapting language for different ages and personalities, strategic planning, organizing vacations, moves, family events. My God, Marina realized, I am basically a CEO who wasn't getting paid. Instead of trying to re enter the market in the traditional way, Marina applied the principles of effortless, finding the natural, unforced path. She started small, offered free consulting for home renovations to some friends, created an Instagram showcasing transformations of small spaces, joined groups of entrepreneurial mothers. Marina discovered that her experience as a mother had created a unique professional niche, architecture for royal families. She understood the practical needs of families with children in a way that architects without children simply couldn't grasp. Her first project was renovating a friend's kitchen, focusing on real functionality for a mother of triplets. The result was so incredible that the photos went viral on Instagram. 6 months after starting her comeback, Marina had a 3 month waiting list for her projects. She hadn't returned to the job market. She had created her own market, combining her technical expertise with her life experience. Marina's greatest challenge was not rediscovering who she was, but integrating all her versions into a cohesive identity. Marina realized she had fallen into the trap of the false dichotomy, believing she had to choose between being a mother or a professional, between being a wife or an individual. The truth was much richer. She could be all of these things simultaneously, as long as each part was authentic. Marina found inspiration in the Bhagavad Gita, specifically in the concept of Dharma, fulfilling our unique purpose in the world. Her Dharma was not to be only a mother, only a wife, or only an architect. It was to use all these roles to express her essence, creating spaces where people can flourish. She did this literally, renovating houses, and metaphorically, creating emotional space for her family to grow. Marina's family transformed completely. Instead of an overwhelmed mother and a distant father, they became a team where everyone contributed. Julia commented, Mom, now you're more fun. Before, you were always stressed trying to do everything. Carlos admitted, I fell in love again with the woman you've become, or rather, with the woman you've always been, but I had forgotten. Marina developed what she calls the whole mother model, a mother who is a complete human being, not just a satellite orbiting around the family. Paradoxically, the more Marina connected with herself, the better mother she became. She was more present, more patient, more genuine. Marina realized that by rediscovering herself, she was teaching a valuable lesson to her children, especially Julia. You don't have to diminish yourself to love others. You can shine and love at the same time. A year after that Thursday morning, when Julia asked the question that changed everything, Marina had become a completely different person. Or rather, she had become completely herself. Marina had a thriving residential architecture business. The family functioned as a team, not as a benevolent dictatorship. She had friendships based on genuine interests, not just geographic proximity. She rediscovered hobbies that nourished her. She started drawing again, created an amazing garden. She was planning her first solo trip in 20 years, a photography expedition through Argentina. But the internal changes were even deeper. Marina knew who she was beneath the roles she played. She no longer depended on others' approval or need to feel valuable. She was truly present in each moment, not always thinking about what she needed to do for others. She could express opinions, desires, and boundaries without guilt. She had her own plans, not just plans based on the family. The five tools that transformed Marina were: 1. The practice of self archaeology daily, 15 minutes of conscious reflection on your own thoughts and desires, clear separation between what I want and what others expect of me. 2. The ritual of loving boundaries. Identify a situation where you need to say no with love. Practice ways to help that do not emotionally exhaust you. 3. The connection with expanded Ikigai. Revisit the four circles, including all dimensions of your identity. Seek ways to express your purpose through different roles. 4. The invisible skills list. Recognize and value skills developed in all areas of life. Find ways to apply these skills in new contexts. 5. The practice of integration. Conscious moments where she connects with all facets of her identity. Celebration of the complexity and richness of being a multidimensional person. Marina discovered that rediscovering who we are does not mean abandoning who we were or the commitments we made. It means expanding our identity to include everything we are. As she herself said, I didn't stop being a mother to become an architect. I became a mother, architect, woman, dreamer, friend, wife, complete, and I found out that I am much more interesting this way. Marina's journey proves something revolutionary. It is possible to transform deeply without destroying what we have already built. It is possible to rediscover who we are without abandoning those we love. If you saw yourself in Marina's story, if you also ever felt lost among so many roles, I want you to know you don't have to choose between being a good mother, wife, daughter, and being a complete person. You can be both. Three questions for your reflection. 1. When was the last time you talked about your dreams? Not about dreams for the family, for the children, but about what makes your heart race. 2. Which part of you is asleep? What talents, passions, or aspects of your personality have you put on hold to dedicate yourself to others? 3. What would your life be like if you were 100% authentic? If you could fully express who you are while maintaining love for your family, what would it be like? For 1 week, set aside 15 minutes daily just for yourself, not to think about family, work, or responsibilities. 15 minutes to draw if that moves you. Write about your dreams. Plan that trip you've always wanted to take. Research that course you've always wanted to study. Simply feel who you are beneath all the roles. Marina told me that she made a promise to herself that changed everything. I promise to know myself, respect myself, and express myself authentically because only then can I offer the best of myself to the people I love. If Marina's story touched your heart and you're also ready to start your own journey of rediscovery, tell me in the comments. What is the first step you're going to take to find yourself again? It can be small. In fact, it's better if it's small. Marina started with 15 minutes of reflection a day, and look where she is now. And if you want more stories of transformation like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Every week, we explore together the paths to a more authentic, complete, and fulfilled life. Remember, you don't have to dim your light to let others shine. You can shine together, and that lights up the whole world. Until the next video, and thank you for allowing me to share Marina's incredible story with you.